Alright lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy, back again with another video. Arsenal is set to sign Ruben Neves. The deal is back on. Guys, this is making me run crazy. Absolutely crazy. First, we are in advanced talks with Locatelli, and that is what Giovanni Canavelli, the CEO of Sassuolo, said. And now, Nicholo, Shira, Gianluigi Di Marzio have come out and said no, Arsenal will not sign Locatelli. They are actually on the verge of agreeing terms with Ruben Neves, but they are also progressively well in talks with Wolves. Why not smash the like button? Why not subscribe? We are going to discuss all these stories and more just after this. Right then, lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast with me, Cossy, speaking transfers. And things are really not easy. I think we have been linked with millions and millions. But we have moved, we have progressed further. Now, we are talking about Arsenal agreeing terms, Arsenal progressing in talks, Arsenal now making bids, and Arsenal offering. It's a little bit different from the earlier stages of the window where we were just linked with players. Arsenal likes Mahrez, Arsenal linked with Raheem Sterling, Arsenal linked with ABCD, Andre Silva, and a couple of others, other players. Now we are taking strides. We are taking moves. We are making moves. And that is the difference we have at the moment. So let us try and look at some of the stories around Ruben Neves and Arsenal. Obviously, another defensive midfielder, another central midfielder. You could use him as an attacking midfielder. I've not seen his statistics as an attacking midfielder. How many appearances does he have as an attacking midfielder? I've not seen that as yet. But all you have to know is he is a defensive midfielder and a central midfielder. Now, a couple of reports have been talking about Arsenal going for Ruben Neves, and journalists like Nicholo, Shira, as well as Gianluigi Di Marzio yesterday did confirm that Arsenal have actually tabled a 5-year contract offer for Ruben Neves, and it is likely to be accepted. Talks are going on between the clubs, Arsenal and Wolves. Now, this is according to HITC. And this is what they have wrote. Arsenal have now made 24-year-old their top target. Nuno called him fantastic. This according to HITC. Very wonderful article written by them. So you could check it out. It's available online. And they're saying, according to a well-known and well-respected Italian journalist, Di Marzio, AS Roma have an agreement with Granit Xhaka over a transfer. The Italian club are waiting for Arsenal to sign a midfielder first. The Gunners are eager to sign a 23-year-old Italian midfielder, Locatelli. However, Sassuolo star wants to stay at Juventus. This has led Arsenal to making Wolves midfielder Nevez their top target. Right. This is not the first time Nevez has been mentioned in regard to a move to Arsenal in this transfer summer. The Daily Mail reported in June that Arteta's side are planning to make a move for the Portugal international. The 24-year-old has done well for Wolves over the last 2 years. The Wolves number 8 helped the Wanderers clinch promotion to the Premier League. And then guided them to the Europa League as well. So Arsenal have offered, and Nicholo Shira, that was according to Di Marzio, and he said Manuel Locatelli has an agreement with Juventus, so Arsenal are really unlikely to get him. However much we have made bids, however much we have been in talks with Sassuolo, the priority, the bigger advantage remains that the men at Juventus have the priority to take the man himself, Manuel Locatelli. Now, that has pushed Arsenal into going for another defensive midfielder or another central midfielder. Of course, you can call him whatever you want. If you look at the transfer market website, they will say he's a defensive midfielder. And if you look at websites like FBref, and if you look at websites like SofaScore, they're gonna say he is a central midfielder. In my own case, I do not care. He's good. He's good at very good at tackling, very good at interceptions, very good at holding possession and holding the ball. His passing is direct and complete and so good. I think he's one of those players that have an 85% plus passing accuracy. So what you like about, before we go into the contract, because I'm gonna speak about that, Nicholo Shira did give us an update around a 5-year contract. But what you want about Nevez, just look at him at your screen. That is what you want about Ruben Neves: interceptions, tackling, and the energy. Look, he might not have the vibe that I've always talked about, because I do like midfielders with vibes. I want players that do have the vibe, in the midfield. He might not have that, that kind of vibe. But I think he's ultimately a big upgrade to Granit Xhaka. And many people still, it's the same thing with Houssem Aouar. Many people are saying we do not want Ruben Neves because of 2 reasons. One, you've not followed him. You've not seen his statistics. You've not checked his numbers. Numbers don't lie. And 2, honestly, how many Wolves games have you watched? Wolves Manchester United. Many people will not even watch Wolves playing Manchester United. It's when Wolves play Arsenal, 2 games in a season, which you have already forgotten. But if you remember the best midfielders in the, if you're gonna mention the best midfielders in the, in the Premier League last season, at least the best 15. Ruben Neves is among them. Central midfielder, really solid. He's got the energy. He's very young, 24 years of age. I mean, look, this is going to sound like a regurgitation of what I've always said, but let it sound like a regurgitation. I'll take him. I'll take him. And let that sink in. I'll take him. Anyone who says they wouldn't take Ruben Neves, you have personal problems with with him as a player. Because look at those long passes. That's one of the things you want. And I think he's been contributing so much to Raul Jimenez's goals, very, very much. He's gonna create some chances, down the channels, as a deep lying midfielder. It's gonna create, for you some chances. But as well, apart from creating the chances and going ahead to tackle and do things like that, you have him as a player who is always gonna be reliable. If you ask me, is he reliable? Because for me, in a midfielder who's a central midfielder or a defensive midfielder, I need the reliability. I need you to be there. Are you always gonna be there? And in my case, in my opinion, I think he is always gonna be there. So Nicholo Shira says Arsenal have actually given him offered him a 5-year contract, which is set to be accepted. Personal terms, I believe, not to be a problem. The player wants to make the move. He doesn't have problems with leaving Wolves. He doesn't have any emotional attachment that would actually make him want to, either go back to Portugal or go to any other club. He's free. It's like it's time for me to make this move from Wolves to to a bigger club like Arsenal. And I think this is the time. 24 years of age. He was born in 1997. So 24 years of age. For me, this is the time when you make the switch. This is the time when you progress in your career. Otherwise, you're gonna become like players we have seen. Time arrives for you to make a big switch. You feel like, I want to stay here for a year. Give me another year, probably 6 months, and then you become 28, and everybody's like, we are not interested. We are no longer interested. So if Wolves are gonna make money, out of him, this is the time for me. This is the time. Look, he's a good player. Next season, he could have a better season. He's just, he will be just 25. Even next season, but one, he'll be just 26. He could have marvelous seasons. And they could get, they could get good money. But for 30 million euros, a price between 30 to 35 million euros, you do that. If you're Wolves, you do that. He's like, he's a very, very, integral player in their, in their squad. But what I think it would help Arsenal at the moment is the tackling. Beautiful tackler, beautiful long ball player, beautiful passing. I mean, just look at that. Just look at your screen. That is him picking out Adama very, very far, and of course, his tackling is also top class as well. So, guys, honestly, if you asked me, do you take Ruben Neves? I would take him. I'll absolutely take him. I was one of those people who actually said at first I wouldn't take him. I was a little bit skeptical, but when I looked at his statistics, I've looked at a couple of videos, and then I was reminded of the games that I watched with with Wolves, having him in the center of that in the center of that midfield. He is a key man. Honestly, if you have him with Thomas Partey, you have a key midfield. You have a key midfield area. You have two key midfielders, and I think the beauty with him is you could play him as a CM, you could play him as an as a DM, and that's the beauty with such players. 5 years of a contract, that is brilliant. There are no details as yet, but all I know is Nicholo Shira says he's been given 5 years of a contract, and that means it runs down when he's 28, 29. Brilliant. For me, it is brilliant. Arsenal are doing the right moves. I mean, instead of fighting for Camavinga, who's never going to sign for you, instead of focusing on Manuel Locatelli, who's never going to sign for you, instead of signing, focusing on players like, what? You'd rather go for the easy ones. You'd rather go. I mean, it doesn't make sense. It's only so good that Arsenal, keeps being linked with Wilfred Ndidi, being linked with Camavinga. It makes you happy as an Arsenal fan because you feel like we might bring in some potential big talent. But for me, at the end of the day, you've got to think about it. What does your club gain being linked with so many players that eventually are never gonna sign? For me, you'd rather bring me a player who's gonna sign than actually give me a player, link me with a player who's never gonna sign. So Ruben Neves, the beauty with it is a doable deal, very doable. Wolves are very open to selling. The player is available. The player is also very open to moving. Arsenal are desperately in need of a central midfielder, and we have the money. I mean, we are the big boys in town, with the money. I mean, look, I don't mean to brag, but looks like we have the money. We might not spend the 250 million because looks like our transfer targets are zeroing down. I think we could spend around 120 million if you get our and if you get our and Nevez at around 70 million euros. Then you add Ben White, who's around 50. That is 170, right? No, that is 120, right? Then Lokonga and Nuno Tavares were worth 30. That is around 150. Then you could have you could have a goalkeeper and a right back. So we could spend around I think the maximum is gonna be around 200 million euros. I don't see Maddison coming because of the price tag. I don't see Maddison coming. So Ruben Neves and probably Houssem Aouar are the two players that we could sign in that midfield. What are your thoughts? Ruben Neves as your central midfielder, or as your DM, Thomas Partey as either your central midfielder and DM, and then Houssem Aouar as your number 10. Is it a good deal, or is Arsenal wasting time? I'll speak to you very, very soon. Do smash a like on the video, subscribe. Like I said, the channel is growing, content is growing, the quality is growing, and I'm growing as a person. So make sure you do smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak to you in the next one.